All right, welcome back again to another episode of the Live Your Dreams podcast. I'm your host, Joe Gawalis, alongside my fantastic co-host,
Chris Victor.
Chris. I am so excited today because we have on an incredible guest who embodies the spirit of entrepreneurship, innovation, and creativity in every sense of the word. He spent the past 15 years in the entertainment industry with credits in some of the biggest shows that are out there. Orange is the New Black, The Blacklist, Law and Order, Organized Crimes, and let's not forget FBI. Not only that, Chris, but this guy is an individual who is a serial entrepreneur with ventures in e-commerce, real estate, entertainment, and today he is serving as the Chief Marketing Officer and co-founder of Cassandra Media, a company dedicated to helping businesses succeed through direct marketing and PR expertise. Please welcome the incredibly talented Yaron Urbas on the Live Your Dreams podcast. Man, your resume, Yaron, you're the man.
Wow, that was a mouthful. I hope I can live up to all that.
Now you're stuck. You are stuck. You have to live up to it. How does it feel, hearing all that actually back to back to say this is what my career has been like?
I mean, yeah, man. Yeah. Hearing you say it. I mean, yeah, it's all true. And it's been one hell of a journey. Yeah. I mean, I think it's indicative of my past in life has never been a straight sort of A to Z thing. Sure. It's been very sort of, where do the forks in the road take me? And, from acting, from software engineering, finance, ongoing entrepreneurial stuff going on, sort of along the way, and then eventually getting into acting. I mean, I started music. So yeah, to hear you say it, man, yeah, I hope there's much more to my journey for sure. It's been freaking awesome. But yeah, it feels good to hear. I mean, it's a lot. It is a lot. And, but trying to stay, but it's a lot, but at the same time, I think like each thing is something like you set a goal, right? You accomplish that goal and then you go to the next thing. And I think that's the hardest part, right? You can do a lot of things in your life. You can have a lot of ventures and pursuits and hobbies, but, set a goal, pursue that goal, finish what you started. You might succeed, you might not, right? You don't always succeed. Sometimes I don't like to use the word fail. I say pivot. You pivot, right? At some point there's a term, and I use these examples all the time, and I'm no Navy SEAL whatsoever at all, but I love some of their thinking and their methodology. I read a book about this Navy SEAL guy who applied some of his principles to business. And there's this concept called, I hope I'm getting it right, it's fail forward fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes, there you go. And smart people, good business people, and smart people in general, they know when something isn't succeeding, and they know exactly when it's time to stop and pivot. And then the other thing that I love is the idea of move fast, slow. Right? That's another concept. Fluid, smooth, focused, keep going. Don't stop, but don't try to get too ahead of yourself. Don't try and do more than you can do. Nice and slow, task by task, move forward. So yeah, those are all the little nuggets that along the way I've learned in my journey.
Would you say?
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Yeah, you're wrong. Would you say that the journey is the destination, that you're arriving every day because you're pursuing what you love?
I love that. Exactly. It's like, it's like that Aerosmith, the lyrics, life's a journey, not a destination, right? See what's out. Yeah, man, it's true. At some point, especially as far as acting. I mean, it probably applies to many things because there's phases to everything we do in life,
sure.
Right? I mean, there's certain ages you do certain things, but I'd say acting especially, there's times where you're doing great. You're booking everything. You're sort of a little bit of a big deal, depending on where you're at in your career. And you got to remind yourself, I mean, I've always been cognizant of, hey, it may not be this good every day. This may not, who knows what the next venture brings, the next project brings. So I think you're right. Life is definitely a journey. It's not a destination, but each task, each thing is like, okay, that was awesome. Am I ready for the next thing? Yeah, let's do the next thing, whatever that is.
Well, you mentioned and you talked about, that time period in people's careers where they could be, it's a business of swings, right? No matter if you're an actor, if you're a writer, director, a crew member, it's a lot of success, then a lot of almost waiting, and there's nothing. It's feast or famine. You yourself went through that. I mean, there was a period of our time for our listeners. Working actors are a very difficult thing to be. And you were at this period of time in your career at one point where you were on fire. I mean, if you turned on a streaming service, a network TV channel, you were on it. I mean, Jim Gaffigan, we can go through the list of everything you were doing. You hooked up with people from Asylum for a while. You're doing independent films. You were all over the place on every major streaming channel, on every single major kind of regular cable network. But again, like you said, things go great and then things slow down a little bit. And when your career, you started learning, we'll get into that a little bit later, and we'll go into Cassandra Media and what that's all about. But the importance of making sure you capitalize at the right timing when you kind of get something going in your career. How important is that to our listeners out there that are thinking about this?
I love everything you just said, and I'm going to tie that into some lessons along the way, because one of the things I am working on is I'm going to start taking some of the, so I have my reel and my clips from different projects I've been in, and I've been inspired to sort of talk over them, like put it out there with like a talking head thing and talking about the behind the scenes for that clip. And sort of what the audition was like, what the on-set experience was like, and sharing some of it for inspiration. So with that said, you're right. I'm going to say first thing I learned, hopefully to people out there, specifically for the actors right now, I guess, or just the people in the industry.
When
I was non-union, I worked a lot. Not to put down the union, not putting down the union at all, but it's real. And if you've been in that journey, you know what I'm talking about. So I used to work a lot when I was non-union, and there were a couple of years where I was especially very prominent in the less sexy stuff for most of us, commercials and industrials. But I was like in yellow cabs, on a screen. Right? So like I worked with one of the dudes from NSYNC, on a commercial. I was on a massive freaking poster board along the highway for a medical thing. I was on TV for Sloan Kettering cancer thing, cancer promo. I worked a lot. I had the right look. And sometimes you get lucky. I don't think I was super special. I think I had the right look and did the right things at the right time. So non-union transition to union to me was like going from minor leagues to major leagues. You're kind of doing really well in the minors and you go to majors. Now you're playing with other majors. That's not to say that I doubt myself, my ability. I mean, you always have to get better in everything you do, including.
Of course. Everybody's good now.
Got to keep your tools sharp. Got to, and go to workshops, work with a coach, a mentor, and become a better actor every day. But there's less union work, and that's just a part of it. The thing is, you get treated differently. I mean, I've been treated well and treated badly. Either way, it doesn't matter. Union, non-union, it happens. Creativity is a passionate place. So some days are going to be better than others. In general, I've had positive experiences, but with that said, like once I went union, it changed. I mean, I'm against guys that are booking series regulars. The audience already knows them. So it's just a reality. Everyone's trying to get to the next rung, right? Some of us start co-stars, go to guest stars, go to reoccurring. So you have to learn where you fit. You have to start definitely creating more opportunities for yourself, even more so. You have to start writing. If you can get involved behind the camera, you need to start doing that. I still audition. I still get good stuff. The FBI thing was pretty recent. I'm very proud.
Yep.
It was a nice scene, very beginning of the show. But with that said, yes, if you're sitting around waiting for the next acting gig, it's hard, man. It's hard. We all know.
100%.
But I'm going to transition now to the people, to not only if you're an actor, but if you're a person who's trying to accomplish something, you need marketing, you need advertising, and guess what else you need? You need PR, public relations work. Now, me as an actor starting up, I didn't know what the hell PR was, to be honest. PR was to me that's something like the J-Los, the Will Smiths, of the world. The big people, or the A-listers, Rihanna, Jay-Z, go on and on. It's like they need PR, but almost anything. So we're storytellers, and 100%. Work, right? A big part of PR work is crafting a story, right? Now you could take an actor or a business at an early stage where not everyone knows them, but is there a story behind it? Is the business started by an immigrant, a recent immigrant, maybe? The actor, is the actor representative of a certain group that's underrepresented, or do they just have an interesting story? Imagine a stuttering actor, for example, and their journey become a successful actor, right? Or a person with some other sort of disability. There's a story there. It's interesting. That story will be accepted by different platforms and publications, right? And before you know it, this person's getting attention. And when they're getting attention, so there's the audience that's going to watch whatever they're in, but then there's also the other audience, right? The directors, the producers, the writers that are now seeing this person.
Yes.
And they're like, you know what? Let me give them a call. Let me see if they're represented. Let me see. They might be right for a project I'm working on. I wish, and you always learn, and hopefully someone else benefits from it, but I would have done PR a long time ago. At those moments that you're talking about, where there were certain, like the reoccurring on Orange is the New Black was an awesome opportunity. Now, sometimes it can be expensive. Like if you're trying to get onto main big platforms, sometimes you need money. But other times it's not. There's smaller platforms. There's awesome podcasts, awesome blogs. There's So anyway, where I'm going with this is like at any point in your journey, when you're promoting yourself, a product, a business, a service, you're acting, you're writing, it does help to budget and spend on advertising and marketing and PR work. And that because your manager, if you're lucky, or your agent, if you're lucky, they can't do that for you. Okay. They're submitting you, but they can't do that part. That you got to do for yourself. So yeah, I think that's important. I think that's something I would definitely do a little bit differently. Even if I'd have to submit if I couldn't afford a publicist, just finding the different platforms, right? Like this awesome podcast.
Yeah.
You know, I'm so honored. I love what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
You know, just, living your life to the fullest, its best potential, and just talking about that journey. It's like the three of us have known each other for such a long time.
Oh yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Right. And now, and the magic and the passion and the inspiration and pushing it forward. It's, there's lots of platforms that will help you do that. Right. Find them.
You're 100% right, because it's interesting, right? When we were coming up, we've known each other for quite a long time in the business now. They didn't have all these it was like the beginning of these kind of platforms. Social media was really peeking over into like the real like major scene. I remember one of the first movies we did together, we put it out on Apple and iTunes and Amazon, and people looked at us like we were like upside down, like, whoa, what are you thinking? Like, movies don't stream. What are you guys trying to do? So the business has changed significantly in 10 to 12 years. Things have really shifted a lot. From that 2010 range to now, especially this post-pandemic world we're living in now. Doesn't matter about all that stuff, but like that made streaming worldwide, where every country is now streaming. It has become the norm everywhere. Absolutely. Have you found people are now more open to talking about things like, because when we were coming up, PR, okay, that's crazy. Only certain people can afford that. We didn't have these little avenues and places to actually get our content seen. Do you think people are more open now to listening to this and seeing it?
Absolutely. I'm lucky. Like I talk to a lot of my peers, right? And I grew up with technology. I mean, I was a software engineer. That's how I started my business, my life, my career. So I've never been tech averse. I've always developed and evolved based on new technologies, right?
Sure.
And then we have new challenges. Now, there was a time where, right, you could only tell your story if you had the connections to get like a major studio to shoot your film, right? There was no YouTube, right? Yeah. There was no social media. Okay, fast forward. Now you got that. Now there's a lot of noise. Everyone has a story to tell. Everyone's a superstar, which is great. That's fine. Not everyone's story deserves the same amount of attention.
Sure.
But we all deserve to be heard, for sure. So now the trick is like my kids. I have two kids, right? So we're talking 17 and 19.
Yep.
And then my oldest is 30. So it's like 17 and 19. What are they involved with? They're not they watch movies with me, but really kids, in that age range and younger, they're not really watching long form content. They're not watching movies. They're not watching films. They like short form. They're on YouTube. They're watching Gamers Game. Right? The way you and I might watch a sporting event, they're watching Gamers Game.
Sure.
Right? That's what they do. So it's just a transition. Like, everyone now is making content. No one's sitting for an hour, to watch something. You kind of want it right away. You go to TikTok, you get your fix, and maybe you get over fixated, but you go there and you watch and then you move on, for whatever you're there. You have to adapt. I tell a lot of my peers in the industry, like, look, yes, write your short film, write your feature. Okay. But tell you what, there's so many people that become successful by just building a massive, right? They become influencers.
Yeah.
Right. TikTok lets us all create. Just pick up a camera and create. It's about what's in here. It's no longer about like the production value, the lighting, the setup. It's just about telling a funny story, an interesting story. I did a little experiment on TikTok.
Yes.
When I first went on it, I got like practically no views, which is exactly what I expected, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then eventually I picked something that was trending. It was the mega drawing, the billionaire mega.
I remember you doing that. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Okay. All right. I lost. Well, I didn't lose. I spent $20 to get $4.
Yeah.
Right? So I made a video. I was like, this sucks. So I just got on camera real quick and I said, guys, guess what? I won the Mega Millions. I won $4. Right now, I trended. I hashtagged Mega Millions.
Yeah.
There, someone's going to pay attention. And then I made a story about, guys, I won $4 and I only spent 20. Something stupid. And that actually took. I got over a few thousand views, which for me as a new person on TikTok, that was decent.
New person on, that's good. Oh yeah.
And then I went with the theme. I tried and I experimented again. This time I pretended that I was taking my Mega Millions winnings of $4 and I was buying up anything and everything, which was absurd because you can't do that.
Yeah.
I was, so anyway, long story short, that video went like 17,000 views. It's still getting views,
good,
which is not a big deal. But look, it wasn't that hard. Just pick up the damn camera and go out there and shoot. So that's it. That's the new thing. Now, from that, if you get enough influence, enough traction, again, maybe the audience, your customers, as I like to call them, those producers, those directors, those casting directors, you're staying fresh in their minds.
Yeah.
I mean, another piece of advice I would just say is on social, hang out in the places that, right, with the casting director that you want to see you constantly. They're going to see your profile pic.
Yeah.
Your profile pic should try and look the way you look.
You look, please, yeah.
Right? Just common sense. A lot of folks know this, but some don't. So yeah, that's definitely a huge part of the changing landscape. And you're right, it's streaming. I mean, people aren't going to the movies anymore.
No.
Streaming has really changed things for the better and the worse. How do you guys feel about it?
Well, I gotta say though, I just want to make one comment on you're scaling up. I love how you teach, viewers to scale up, because when you were non-union, you were a big fish in a small pond and you were recognized. Actually, I remember from around every corner, what an excellent performance. I couldn't wait to meet you because I came on with Joe after the filming was done to take to the rehabs and help other people with the message about drug and alcohol abuse. Yep, you did an amazing job. You stood out. Then I saw you in the play once again, consistency. And I love good acting. I'm not so much on the short form content with just doing what you said with the Mega Millions, because you're a really good actor. However, you have to change with the times. I like the scaling up, invest in yourself, invest in a PR firm to let people know, especially when you have good work that you've done, let people know about it and get it out to more people. That's excellent advice. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, brother. Thank you. And Joe and you guys, we've known each other, for some time. I loved working on the project. Out every corner wasn't only special because I got to play. Yes, I enjoyed that, but also you guys took it. You took it somewhere.
No, we did. And it's incredible when you talk about don't what you did with your 17,000 TikTok views. That's amazing that people could pick up a camera and do that now, because let's go back to around every corner. We did a movie together, 2013, wherever it is we shot that. I mean, it's a long time ago when we shot that movie. They didn't have these avenues. Everything was new. We were kind of looked at as almost low level by putting it out on Apple and Amazon. People were like, well, why aren't you going to theaters? Little indies don't go to theaters, number one. But we're innovative in that streaming. But we would go from festival to festival, and maybe sometimes we'd fill the theater with 200 people. Other times we get 11 to show up, right? So imagine now that you can just pick up a camera. Now, and that whole process took a year of our time, from shooting the movie, editing the movie, going to festivals. That's a lot of work and tons of people that were involved. Now you pick up a camera, you film yourself, and you get 17,000 views. I mean, that's incredible, the access that these new filmmakers, these new content creators have out there now. You're absolutely right. You have to get with the times, because this is a whole new wave. And to be honest, I love it, because really, I mean, look how much work it took to make a small, lower budget movie and get it seen by a couple hundred people. Now, content creators can get their story across. I mean, we can technically tell that story through TikTok clips, get millions of viewerships, and do that in a week's time, not even, as opposed to spending a year of our lives and doing it. I mean, incredible how the world has shifted in that short period of time.
It's crazy. And then now, right, we've got AI.
100%. Yeah.
Both creating opportunities and challenges, right? I mean, AI is already having a massive impact on our industry. It's already, how much money are we going to spend on real talent versus articulated talent or made talent. 10 years ago, I was thinking to myself, I feel, and it's crazy, anyone can predict what's going to happen if you think about it. But it's like, I see a time where maybe the big studios or the powers that be sort of are willing to purchase your personality or license your personality.
Sure, yeah.
But they won't actually need you to actually play the character.
Yeah.
And guess what?
There it is.
I mean, and it's scary. And a lot of people are very scared. And I understand. I've been in IT for a long time. I've gone through a lot of changes. I think we're as scared now as when people were afraid to get on a train because they thought that they would be asphyxiated moving that fast.
No, it makes complete sense. It's completely.
They thought they were going to die riding a train too fast.
And we've been trained to be scared of AI. I mean, Terminator, everything out there, AI, the movie itself, like all the movies are AI are really not perceiving it and making us think about it in this like positive way. It's really we're trained in our brains back at the beginning of actually thinking about it is that this is a scary thing. Stay away from it. So you're right. I see it as a tool as well.
Early man, and I mean early, like, Cro-Magnon maybe or something, right? Like fire bad, fire burn.
Yep.
There was one guy who looked at it and said, fire makes a steak taste damn good.
Exactly right. No. You have to figure out how to make an advantage because you're absolutely right. I think people are looking at it the wrong way. And again, innovative companies are going to find a way to use it. And the people that are just afraid of things, again, you're right. The person that was that early man that was putting that steak over the fire and getting a nice roasted piece of meat. You had the guy that was, a couple caves over eating raw, stale meat, getting sick, saying, well, I don't like that fire. Still refuses to believe in it. You have to get with the times. And you're right. It's always been that way. It has always been an adaptable thing.
Yeah, you gotta move. You can deny. You can, you gotta keep moving forward. You can't look. There's some scary things, and I don't want to dwell on that because some people have concerns about AI going in bad directions. But
you're right. Yeah.
Technology, the internet brought things that are of concern. Social media has brought things. But as far as our craft, we're talking about the field of storytelling, right? We're storytellers by nature. Humans are storytellers. And, I think the one consistent thread in my life thus far is the idea that I like a good story.
Yeah.
I've always wanted my life to be, or I'm realizing now, that I just enjoy the journey, to Chris's point before. And I enjoy the stories. I enjoy the process. I'm realizing more and more that I should be writing more, and I am.
Yeah.
I've started to write a feature with a team. And there's a good chance it's actually going to get distribution. I'm working with a producing partner that already has access. So I've started to write now, and there's a role in there for myself, and so long as I can stay in front of the camera, I'd like to. But there's also the producing side of it as well. I like the business side of things, and then there's the sort of my bread and butter work, which is the marketing and public relations work.
Yes.
But at this stage in my career, I bring into everything I do. And yet again, I find that marketing and PR is about a story. You see, like you can hire anyone to do PR and marketing.
Yeah.
We all have the same tools. Most people think we're strict, like PR. When I tell people I'm a publicist now, or one of my hats, they're like, "Oh, really? What do you have access to?" And I'm like, "Well, you already don't know how PR works because guess what? We actually all have access. Well, if you have either the money, somebody, yes, of course, or or a good story, and you know how to sell it, you have access.
Of course you do. People don't realize that. You're 100% right. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny. So with that said, like really what you're picking, if you're going to pick someone to back you and get your story told, is someone who's a good storyteller. I can look at an actor, I can look at a business, I can look at talent, and I can see what I believe the story can be or should be after spending a little bit of time with them. I can see where I think the point of interest to that person or that business would be, right? Who's the right audience for that person or that business? And here's the beauty, here's the gem, right? We all now, and this is the other major shift. Back in the day, we had to be known by 1 million people or 1 billion people to succeed. We had to be Hollywood stars. There's no such thing as that anymore, right?
You're right. Yeah.
Tom Cruise days, and I love Tom, right? But like the Tom Cruise days, Will Smith days, we don't all have to be Tom, Will, it's like we just need a fan base of a specific number, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000.
Yeah.
They need to love us, follow us, be engaged with us. We need to love them back, and they'll help us have a career. So that's the new nice thing, right? You got 50,000 followers on Insta, and you do a project and they're willing to pay to see it online or offline. There you go.
You got something there. Yeah, 100%.
You're succeeding. You're working. So that's the other beauty of it, right?
I tell you, it sounds like you're a man for the job because you're a storyteller by trade, and now you're doing this with PR. I feel the same way about Live Your Dreams. I say we're storytellers as filmmakers. Now we're having you, the guest, tell your own personal story to reach millions of people. It doesn't get any better than that. I mean, we're really reaching more people now these days, and that's what's great about technology.
Absolutely. Spot on. Absolutely.
You're right, Chris. The technology has been incredible. What you're doing your own. I mean, talk about storytelling. Every time we see each other, it doesn't matter if we're at a major festival, an event, what it is. We end up huddled in the corner telling stories like the whole time, So
right.
Like,
yeah. Oh,
you're
absolutely.
a storyteller. You are a storyteller. So you understand it was great for people. Like, you're not, what people realize, and they obviously heard your bio, you've been an incredible entrepreneur for years. You're a seasoned businessman. You're seasoned in the entertainment world. So not only can you help people, for our listeners that are a lot in the more of the business sense of the word, you can not only help people in the entertainment business, you can help businesses from any scale. You can help restaurateurs. You can help out, budding businesses, developers. You have that understanding in the range of business where you're not just there for people in the entertainment business. So for those listening, make sure to reach out to Cassandra Media and Yaron, even if you're outside the entertainment space. He handles everything out there because he understands that world so well.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that, Joe. And you're right. I do. I've worked in tons of different industries. So yeah, I can, quick plug, right? So CassandraMedia.net. I can definitely, and by the way, I have a founding partner as well. His name's Steve Stanulis, who's an entrepreneur as well. Good friend, right? We all know him, very successful in the industry, a great storyteller in his own right. So I just want to put that out there. Yes, I can help startups, established businesses. I personally worked for at least 3 publicly held companies that are currently still exist on an executive level as a VP before I left that to start my own agencies and my own business pursuits. All right. I worked in real estate. I worked in finance. I worked in Merrill Lynch. I've got a lot of credentials,
Sure.
But the bottom line is I know different types of industries, businesses. And yeah, I can definitely help people outside the industry as well. And I love doing it. The biggest thing is I freaking love what I do. There's good days, there's bad days like any other day.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I really, everybody's having a journey in their life. Everyone's telling their story, right? It's that metaphor. And I think the driving factor for success is certainly learning what you do and doing it well, but also just having passion for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think once you latch on to find that thing you're passionate about, and if you keep running with that, then you're bound to be successful. I mean, I really believe that. And what success means to you doesn't have to be what it means success to someone else.
Very true.
All right. Right. Different people have different levels. It's being as successful as you can be with what you have today, and then that's big. I think that's important, working with where you are, what you got now. When I was younger, I was always saying, I'll do this when I have that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I would love to write a script, but I need the best writers, that Hollywood had. No, they're not going to work with me.
They're not going to work with you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you got to work with, that's the other thing. I started to realize I had to open up a bit, and we're all different legs of our journey. We're all improving. I'm not perfect. And I think you have to be very open-minded because you don't know what God's going to put in front of you.
There you go.
Once you come up with an idea and a goal, it's amazing how what happens is suddenly it's like God sends people. Some people call it the universe, whatever you want to call it. Manifesting, whatever you want to do. You put out certain energy, and the universe brings you some energy back, and it attracts people to you. Like we got attracted to each other, all of us. And our journey is similar, and at the same time, we have our own journeys as well, and that comes from us knowing what we want, where we want to be. And then helping each other grow too. And that's a beautiful thing. So
I like what you're saying.
Yeah.
I like saying your own. Basically, I've heard this phrase about basically you wouldn't have the desire in the first place if you weren't capable of achieving it. Okay. So I have a question on that note, on that statement. when you were young, because I know when I was young, I used to do different voices and run around and do different characters for my friends unprompted before I even thought about acting. It was just naturally there. And I see other people in even different industries that they had this desire as a child to do something. Did that translate also in your life? Were you interested in this field, or did you express yourself in that way when you were younger?
You know, it's a great question. I mean, in little ways, yes. You know, we would pick up a camera and do sketches. Like I used to do sketches in high school, right? Yeah. But you would just show it to your friends, and you know, I'm dating myself. But it's like you put your VHS
yourself Super 8 film.
Super 8 film,
69, bro.
Exactly. We know what's up. We know what's up. It's like if you know, you know, right? So it's like you pull out your Betamax, you pull out whatever, you pop it in the V, and those are your friends, those are your followers right there.
Yeah.
You sitting around watching you do a sketch. So the answer to that is yes. I also was real big into music growing up as a kid, just on my own. I grew up in that, you know, surrounded by hip hop culture. So I got involved in rap. I wrote poetry. I did breakdancing. So I was definitely an artist early on for sure. And somehow I managed to stay in it in little ways here and there. And so I think ultimately, you know, as far as acting, the story behind that is specifically my oldest daughter went to school for acting. And I really did not. I was early 20s. I had her pretty young, and I just remember thinking, like, why do you do this? What is this acting thing? Like, what are you just reading? Like, what are the exercises you do to be a better actor? Aren't you just a human being just playing? And then my daughter slowly, I got to see how she was learning and evolving, and I was like, that's pretty cool. Let me try that. So actually my daughter that inspired me to act. You know, right. And then at some point and that was early. I didn't really act on it until I left corporate and said, hey, you know what? I'm doing well. Life's good. I'm grateful for everything, but I need to feed my soul again. I need to get out there and do some art. I've worked very hard for a very long time. And I took the jump. I jumped off a cliff without a parachute.
Yeah.
But there was water down there. So maybe that's why I didn't break anything. But it's like, you know, I definitely took the plunge, man. I did exactly what you don't do. You know, I was in my almost mid-30s.
Yeah.
And all my friends with the houses and the cars were like, you know, and they were like, no, like, keep doing that. I'm like, no, I think I'm going to do this. So I got on a bus. I remember I left, I quit, gave them my leave. And maybe a couple of weeks later, I was on a bus doing background work. That was my first gig. I mean, it was just, you know, that's crazy. That really is crazy. So you got to have a certain risk comfort level. And you know, there's a lot of story. And there's the clock. See my son's clock?
Yeah. No, but you know, you're right. You do have that, because when I met you, you were kind of you're in that leap now. You took it. You're there. And what's great about you is, you know, people, you know, years ago there were so many groups, and there's a few good ones out there now. But you know, in the early 2010s and in that 2000s period, there was a lot of these groups and like networking events, and to try to get people together and form communities. You were a community leader behind quite a few of these. I mean, you had an Ultimate Filmmaker event, the DAG event. You had so many things going on where you were trying to build a community around yourself and other people. And it says a lot about you. Now, when people do take a leap of faith like you did, you didn't just take a leap of faith and say, you know, leave it in the air, let me try to get lucky and see what happens. You say there was water below, but you were building a net on your way down by doing all these things. Do you suggest people do that for themselves now that want to take this leap of faith, and they say, you know what, start building a community, and if you can't find it, build it yourself like you did?
Yeah, I think for me, I had skill sets that I needed to use. I knew that my journey needed to be a little bit faster, right?
Yeah.
Like there's people like my son. My son is a trained actor. He actually decided not to. He went to LaGuardia High School.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Right. Timothy Chalamet went to LaGuardia High School. That's where my son went. Right. You know, so like he decided to not do that. But what I learned quickly for me, because I had a business background, is if you start young as an actor, if you keep going and you're talented and you work on it and you do everything you need to do, you're probably going to be in a reasonable place. I don't know about, you know, not all of us are going to be the 1%ers that are actively working indefinitely. That's not really likely for most of us. But I knew that I had to cut things down. I had to jump the curve, the learning curve a little bit. So I knew I needed to start to get to know casting right away. And for me, it was through business, by arranging meet and greets with actors under a group I call the Dedicated Actors Group.
Yes.
Right. It was kind of like a UPS to USPS because it was SAG, Screen Actors Guild, Dedicated Acting Group. So there was some marketing smarts there going on. So with that said, yeah, I wanted, and the community part was, I didn't just get into this. I'd been sitting in a cubicle for more than a decade working hard, grinding every day, grafting, as the British say, every day, right? And I wanted to be around people again. I wanted to be, I wanted to share the creativity, the artistry. And I think, again, because Chris was so spot on with the journey, I realized that was very important to me. Because there was not necessarily an absolute chance of financial success. It's not like you start a business, you open up a grocery store, you open up a gas station. Your chances of succeeding and making the money is very likely if you just work hard and you're in the right place. With acting, it's a toss-up. It may not, financially, it may not pan out the way you want. But with that said, I knew right away I wanted to make connections, get to know people from a business perspective, a personal perspective, and grow. And I also knew it would take a team to succeed because I'm used to that. Most of the things I've done required a team. So yeah, I would encourage anyone, look, if nothing more, it gets you up and out and you're meeting people and you're talking to people and you're networking. That's a huge part of working in our industry, the networking.
I gotta say,
go ahead.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just saying, I gotta say, with your business expertise that you had before, you implemented it here because just like any business, you mentioned the grocery store, you have to take inventory. You see what cans of food are selling, what's not selling, and then you order differently. Same thing with your acting, taking inventory, what's working, what's not working. That was excellent advice.
No, absolutely right, Chris. Yeah, and really, well, you created your own. I mean, I know one of our mutual, all three of us, one of our dear friend Tim Reeves. Tim and I used to attend your DAG events all the time. I mean, we used to love going out to those. It was a great group of people. I mean, again, looking like you had people like Sybil that were there, and Carlos, people that are involved with major festivals that would show up. I mean, there was a lot of people for young actors or filmmakers to meet and to collaborate with. You built an amazing community, and I think there needs to be more of that, especially now where, again, there's a lot of communities online, but I think you said that networking, when you're in person, that face-to-face, and you're getting to form these bonds, they last for a long time. Look at us. I mean, we would look forward. We would meet up at these networking events, you, I, Tim, 2 or 3 days a week for years. And we still have the friendships to this day. We might not get to work with each other for a year or whatever it might be, but anytime we talk, it's like it never stopped. We go right back into it. You form genuine relationships with people because of events like those.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the part that that's gold,
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who have stayed in the industry, and yet sometimes it's interesting. I talk to someone like, "Hey, where you been? What you up to?" Some people have gone they've pivoted.
Yep.
And either way, I mean, that's the connections, the stories we get to tell, the good times. That's a reward. That's a part of the reward that comes with the craft. And I love that. I love that.
It's so well said to be a reward that comes with the craft. I'm talking about awards that come with crafts. Let's go back now, or let's actually go again to today, right? Cassandra Media, it's out there. People can go to cassandramedia.net, learn more about your amazing business that's being formed. Can you bring us through a little bit of the onboarding process, right? Let's take it into the entertainment industry, the space that we're all in right now. If you're a young actor, you had your first co-star role, you booked your first indie, you're going to a pretty, a mid-range festival, a big one or even a smaller one, you have that chance to be in the spotlight. What would the onboarding process be like when somebody reaches out to you? How does that kind of work for somebody new, completely like you're talking to a kindergartner? They don't understand the process of PR, a new young actor or filmmaker getting involved.
The first thing I would want to know is something about them, sort of who are they, right? Culturally, where do they come from, physically, like what region of the world, and what's their objective, what's their goal, what do they like to do? If we're talking about acting, right, what do they like, what roles do they like to play versus what I personally, from my experience, believe they're sort of naturally ripe for based on their look. And then if they're newbie, I would say, look, just get your feet wet. I mean, I can craft a story, again, like if your story is like, hey, like my story, hey, I was an entrepreneur. I was a rap. I was a software engineer who decided to go back to the arts.
Yeah.
My story. I was an immigrant. Hey, I was an immigrant that came from like the hood.
Yeah.
And then eventually, wanted to have some fun and go out there and get in front of a camera and be seen. Right. So it's like, so what's that person's story? I want to know it. And then from there, if there's enough, there's always something, there's always an angle perspective. I could look to see if there's platforms that are going to want that story. Okay. But then honestly, in addition to that, if we're talking about industry knowledge, like what I would say, look at training. Yeah. Make sure, go to these networking events we just talked about, get out there, talk to people, be yourself, just get to know people. When the time's right, get some representation, and damn it, all the time, I'm really frustrated by some people not willing to invest. And I'm talking about money. I'm talking about straight up money. When I went into this industry right away, realized I wanted a good headshot, even though I was doing background work. 17, 18 years ago, like, no problem. Drop 300, 400, 500, even though it's just background, get decent clothes. So you look right, so that when you go on set, they're going to be like, hey, let's bring this guy back. He's got a wardrobe. If that's what it takes to bring him back, you've got a wardrobe. Spend some time on your training, spend some money on your training, make sure you have a presence on social, work with someone. So another thing I would do, so the PR is a part of it. Social is very important. We build websites, right, for actors and industry, not just actors. I have writers, producers. I have lots of production company websites. Now, websites are important because they're a stable platform for you to present your work and what you offer.
Sure.
But obviously, social is really big. That's dynamic. So you need a social presence, and you need to grow that social. And sometimes you can do it by yourself with good old elbow grease, right? Or you can hire a firm to do your social marketing for you. So I would work with them, from helping them increase their followers. What kind of content should you be putting out there based on your brand, right? And then I could keep going on and on, because there's also stuff that's specific to businesses that's going to be a little bit different. But basically, back to that artist, let's just talk about who you are. Let's take your story. Let's find the right audience. Let's try to deliver that message in a cost-effective way. For some people, that means in a cheap way. Okay. So like, but at some point in your career, and again, it's like, I noticed that the guys that I have a friend who, in my journey, he's been in like Mulan. Mm-hmm. He's been in so many things that matter, like series, series regular. He was in the Warrior, the Bruce.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Story. His trajectory is freaking amazing. He worked with me on a project almost at the beginning. One thing I noticed, I knew about him when I went out to LA. I got to spend some time with him. I'm trying not to say his name because I don't know if
no, I understand. Yep.
But basically, he said to me, I noticed that he was willing to invest in a way that, he would, before an audition, he would spend it was like $100 or $200 per hour with a coach for the audition, for the self-tape, or before he went into the room, because obviously this is before we're all self-taping now.
Yeah, it's completely different. Yep.
But he would actually, and I said to him, dude, that's a lot of money just for the audition. And he's like, no, he's like, I don't care about that. He's like, if I deliver a really good audition, I may book that Hollywood thing. I may book that series regular on show. And by the way, again, he wasn't there yet. He wasn't like this guy who's constantly auditioning for that big stuff. But clearly his mindset and his ability and willingness to invest in it, not just his body, his heart, his mind, but his money.
Yeah.
It changed things for him dramatically. It's an all in. It's just like a business. I think a lot of artists don't treat the work they do like a business. You need a budget. You need to use that budget to promote yourself. These are important things, and I see it over and over again. I see I have friends that some are closer and some are like acquaintance friends. So where I look at their headshots, I'm like, dude, that headshot is busted. Like,
you're absolutely right. You can just tell. Yeah.
And you're a good actor too. Like, you're a good actor. Why does your headshot go and spend whatever it is now? I spend about, I want to say around $600 to $800 on a headshot, probably closer to 800 nowadays. Yeah. I know there's guys out there that'll charge $1,000, and I know there's guys out there that'll do a decent headshot for $300. Yeah. Whatever your number is, don't go cheap on that.
I fully agree.
I gotta say something else also with regard to not only having the proper material, but how do you get it out there? I remember my website designer years ago told me, for another business. They said it's like a star in the sky. No one knows. There's so many of them where your star is. They have to guide them there with SEO or someone that's in the business that can guide you. You got the best material, but no one can see it. And I think the most wasted thing is the undiscovered talent is the greatest shame that people not discovered. They're really good, but they don't have a presence.
That's right. That's right. And we all get caught up as artists. You know, like the idea of like, let me scrimp and let me just, you know, work hard. And yes, but like, it's a business. Learn the business. Learn how to promote yourself. Look, whatever's going on at home, keep it home. But from the exterior, a lot of what we see is what we all believe in the industry. You should look like you believe in your career, like you believe in yourself. It should be very cognizant. The industry should see that way. And we've all got stuff going on and behind, financial issues, personal issues, whatever the problem is. There's ups and downs in all artists' lives and businesses as well. I've met a lot of entrepreneurs that have, you know, stories, as many stories of failure as success.
Oh yeah.
And some will share that with you, where they were down and out, where they were almost homeless, you know, like, wow. But look at where you are now. You got this massive house and you're super paid. Like, wow, how'd you do? How'd you accomplish that? Right. So anyway, invest. The moral of the story is invest. It's like a common thing in the industry. You know, a lot of people are like, when I get there, I'll spend. Yeah, when I have a lot of money and I'm successful, then I'll spend money on my career. It doesn't really work that way. You know, imagine I have a business. I have a budget. I have to advertise. I have to spend money on marketing. To advertise that I can advertise for you, I have to pay to do that as well. So anyway, invest in yourself.
I think that is so well said. I agree 100%. Imagine walking into a pizzeria or a restaurant and the doors are dirty and disgusting and they didn't invest in themselves. As an actor, as a writer, as a director, you are your brand. You are 100% right. And what Yaron is saying is not saying that, oh, you're privileged, spend more money. Not everybody has money. It means invest in something. If you don't have the money, save a little bit of money. Make sure you do it correctly because you are your brand. You're going to get that one shot to be represented. Don't be, you know, penny wise, dollar foolish. Make sure you spend the time to do that. Now, Yaron, it's incredible. I can't believe it. That was the alarm just going off. We're hitting an hour already. That's how much we enjoy ourselves here. You have so much to say. We're going to, again, have to do this in person pretty soon. You're an amazing individual. You know how much we both feel about you, your career. You're somebody that people can look up to, learn from. Really incredible. You gave so much advice, but we love, I know you plug Cassandra Media. Any last words you want to say to our fans, our listeners out there about yourself, your business, where people can learn more about you? Because I know people are going to want to connect with yourself, Cassandra Media, and everything you're doing.
CassandraMedia.net is the company. Go check it out. All right. YummyZest.com is another one of my brands, and it's more focused on the business. CassandraMedia.net is focused on PR. But that's not what I want to leave you with. Here's what I want to leave folks with. So it's easy to win when you're winning.
Yeah.
All right. Now, a lot of people that haven't really pushed hard on things they want to succeed and accomplish in life don't know this yet. But some of you out there do. It's that if you don't give up and you keep going, you're going to win. It really is that simple. You may have to pivot. You may have to try something new. You may end up in a different place than you expected. But keep that mentality. Keep it going. And again, it's you know, my son. You know, I was showing you guys. It's my son's room. I'm in. You know, I got poster Rocky over here. You know, and then we got this. I just want to show you guys this real quick. And then we got the great Muhammad Ali versus Liston.
Ali, yes, Sonny Liston. Yeah.
Knock him down. All right. The point I'm trying to make is, Liston's on the floor right now, but he sure as hell is not a loser because that dude can get back up.
Yeah.
All right, you got to get back up. It's easy. It's easy to get knocked out, and everyone gets knocked out in different ways. But getting back up and being able to do it again is how you succeed. So it's okay to fail. It's okay to lose. Don't be afraid of it. So that's and guys, thank you very much. I want to say thank you very much for having me on the show.
No, man. The pleasure's all ours. Yaron, you are somebody that every time I see you, I am not only proud to have worked with you in the past, I'm proud to consider you a dear, dear friend. You're somebody I've known in the business a long time. You are an incredible individual. We will have links in all of our podcasts. You can see us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, Amazon. You can also see the video on YouTube. We will have links below to all of Yaron's websites, information about him. He is an open book. Make sure you reach out to him. Reach out to Yummy Zest if you want websites built, CassandraMedia.net. I'm telling you guys, if you want to have somebody that's going to care about getting your story out there, it's Yaron and his partner Steve are two people you're going to want to get involved with no matter what. Make sure you reach out, set up an appointment. It's a really easy website to navigate. You'll see a nice little calendar up there. It's very, very beautiful site, easy to navigate. You set yourself up. You won't be disappointed in it. I'm sure Yaron and his team will find a great way to help you. As always, I'm Joe Gawalis for the Live Your Dream podcast alongside my great business partner here,
Chris Victor.
Chris, thank you so much. Yaron, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to spend time with you, my friend, because you truly do represent what it means to live your dreams. You've done it. You're living it. And again, we are the dreamers, and the dreamers make the world go round. I will be back next week. Thank you so much, Yaron, for coming on the show.
Thank you, guys.
It's always a great time being with you. We'll see everybody next week. Remember, Yaron Urbas, CassandraMedia.net, Yummy Zest. It's amazing. Make sure you look them up. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you, everybody, so much.
Guys.